Welcome to our defense briefing show. I'm your host Liang Jun. We have some gripping updates from the world of international politics and conflicts. President Donald Trump has urged Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to end the war in Gaza, criticizing Israel's public relations efforts during the conflict. Trump believes that a swift resolution is necessary, while Netanyahu vows to continue the fight against Hamas till they are eradicated. This comes as some hostages' families express cautious optimism about a potential ceasefire after meeting with President Obama. However, Netanyahu's stance remains firm, making the future of the conflict uncertain. Next, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's speech to the U. Congress has sparked significant outrage across the Middle East. Despite being accused of war crimes by the International Criminal Court, Netanyahu received numerous standing ovations from both Republicans and Democrats during his speech. This grand reception has been criticized for sending a terrible signal to Israel's neighbors, further complicating the already tense situation in the region. Finally, Netanyahu's diplomatic tour continues as he meets with President Joe Biden at the White House to discuss the Israel-Gaza war and the possibility of a ceasefire with Hamas. The Israeli leader faces mounting pressure to bring an end to the conflict, which has deepened political divides in Washington. Netanyahu's fiery defense of Israel's war campaign has drawn both support and protests, with accusations of war crimes following it. He is also expected to meet with Donald Trump in Florida, adding another layer to this complex geopolitical situation. Please stay tuned for detailed coverage on these stories. NY Times on Thursday, Donald J. Trump urged Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to swiftly end the war in Gaza, citing the negative publicity Israel has faced due to the conflict. This plea comes ahead of their scheduled meeting at Mar-a-Lago on Friday. Trump emphasized that Israel's public relations efforts were lacking, especially in light of the devastation caused since the Hamas-led attack on October 7, which has resulted in over 39,000 Palestinian deaths and widespread suffering. Despite Trump's call for a quick resolution, Netanyahu, in his address to U. lawmakers, vowed to continue the fight against Hamas until it was eradicated, a stance that contrasts with the hopes of many Israelis, particularly the families of hostages in Gaza. The Israeli military recently announced the deaths of several hostages, underscoring the urgency for a ceasefire, a sentiment that some of these families conveyed to Netanyahu during a meeting in Washington. The Globe and Mail Benjamin Netanyahu's recent speech to the U. Congress, which was met with multiple standing ovations, has sparked outrage across the Middle East. The Israeli Prime Minister, accused of war crimes by the International Criminal Court, received around 40 standing ovations during his 40-minute address. Netanyahu defended Israel's military actions in Gaza, which have resulted in over 39, according to Gazan health authorities, and called on the U.S. to support Israel against Tehran's axis of terror. The enthusiastic reception by American lawmakers was seen as a terrible signal by many in the region, including political analysts and former Turkish MP Joaquin Ilyego. Netanyahu's speech did not provide updates on the ceasefire negotiations promoted by President Biden, which aim to secure the release of hostages held by Hamas. The reception of Netanyahu's speech in Washington contrasts sharply with his low approval ratings and the mass protests against him in Israel, where many accuse him of prioritizing his political interests over the lives of hostages. BBC Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's meeting with President Joe Biden at the White House followed a contentious speech to Congress, where he defended Israel's actions in Gaza and sought to support. Netanyahu is under pressure to negotiate a ceasefire with Hamas and address the situation, with Biden reportedly pushing for a deal. The ongoing war in Gaza, now in its 9th month, has deepened political divisions in Washington, particularly among Democrats. Netanyahu's speech, which condemned war protesters as Iran's useful idiots, was met with applause mainly from Republicans. The siege also sparked protests, with several arrests made in Washington. Vice President Kamala Harris, who did not attend the speech due to scheduling conflicts, has expressed support for Israel, though this stance has been politically divisive. Netanyahu is also scheduled to visit Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago, highlighting the ongoing diplomatic efforts amid the conflict. BBC drones have revolutionized the warfare landscape in Ukraine. transforming the conflict into a more immediate and lethal battleground. A year ago, such technology was virtually non-existent in the region. Now, it is ubiquitous. Drones have shifted from being peripheral elements to central components in the military strategies of both Ukraine and Russia. Enius, a soldier from the Kharkiv Brigade of Ukraine's National Guard, provides a vivid tour of his drone teams, positioned along the front line in Lipsy. The integration of drones alongside infantry and artillery is crucial for Ukraine as it strives to counter Russian advances, marking a significant evolution in modern warfare. NY Tanzan, in a bold display of their deepening military alliance, Russia and China conducted their first joint bomber patrol exercise near Alaska, signaling to Washington their strengthened ties. The exercise involved 2 Russian Tu-90 fighter bombers and 2 Chinese H-6 planes, guided by Russian fighter jets, flying over the Chukchi and Bering Seas for more than 5 hours. The U.S. and Canada responded by scrambling fighter jets to intercept the foreign aircraft, ensuring they did not breach North American airspace. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin confirmed the aircraft were closely monitored, maintaining a distance of about 200 miles on the coast. This joint drill, featuring bombers capable of delivering nuclear missiles, underscores President Vladimir Putin's efforts to fortify military relations with China amid the geopolitical tensions stemming from Russia's invasion of Ukraine. NY Times, in the Overlook series, the remarkable story of Willy de Bruyn, a Belgian cyclist who transcended gender boundaries, is finally brought to light. In early 1936, De Bruyn was inspired by an article in BDAG about a Czech printer transitioning to live as a man. This revelation propelled De Bruyn to consult a local doctor and declare his intention to live as a man. Born in Irremediable on August 4, 1914, a day marked by the onset of World War I, De Bruyn was assigned female at birth, but felt a strong inclination towards masculinity from a young age. By 15, he was laboring in a cigarette factory to support his parents, who ran a local bar. De Bruyn's journey is a testament to his resilience and the pursuit of authenticity, breaking gender norms long before it became a broader societal conversation. BBC, in a heartwarming tale spanning generations and continents, Farinate, a 50-year-old writer from Singapore, has graduated from Swansea University, following in the footsteps of her mother, Lim Po Luen, who studied there over 70 years ago. Farina pursued a PhD in creative writing, inspired by her mother's journey from Singapore to South Wales in 1949 to study youth leadership. Lim Po Luen, now 100 years old and one of Swansea's oldest living graduates, could not attend the ceremony due to her health, but expressed immense pride in her daughter. Farina shared nostalgic memories of her mother's time in Swansea, including living in Beck Hall and enjoying rare treats like ice cream and mumbles. Lim Po Luen, known as Rose in Wales, returned to Singapore to become a teacher and school principal before joining the Ministry of Education. Farina's love for stories, nurtured by her mother's tales of resilience and adventure, has now come full circle with her own academic achievement in the same university. The Sydney Morning Herald at Tatsuyuta, Paris is set to host what is promised to be the greatest Olympic opening ceremony ever, with a grand spectacle on the River Seine. The ceremony will feature 7,000 athletes on night river boats along a 6-kilometer stretch, watched by 320 satellites, 0 spectators, and a global audience of 1.5 billion. Stars like Celine Dion and Lady Gaga are expected to perform, with Dion making a comeback after a hiatus due to a rare neurological disorder. The event, centered around themes of love and inclusivity, will also see performances across iconic region landmarks, amidst heightened security concerns. 0 police officers, 10 soldiers, and 20 private security guards will ensure safety, with advanced measures like augmented cameras and anti-drone operations in place. The French capital has been transformed into a fortress, with stringent controls and surveillance to prevent any incidents. The ceremony, beginning at 4:24 EST, aims to showcase a diverse and tolerant France, rewriting its history with a narrative of shared humanity. Yahoo US. The Big Ten media kickoff brought together established and new faces in college football, highlighting the league's evolution into the NFL of college football. Veteran Iowa coach Kirk Ferentz, entering his 20th season, shared insights alongside newcomers like Michigan State's Jonathan Smith and UCLA's Deshaun Foster. Rich Clark, the new executive director of the college football playoff, emphasized the importance of strength of schedule in team selection, a favorable point for the Big Ten's 9-game league schedule. Foster, UCLA's new coach, discussed his significant hire of Eric Bieniemy and the challenges of a demanding travel schedule. Michigan State Smith credited his mentors for his coaching philosophy, while U.S. guest Lincoln Riley praised his new defensive coordinator. Downton Lynn, Nebraska's Matt Rule embraced the tough competition, comparing the Big Ten to the NFL. Penn State's James Franklin highlighted linebacker Abdul Carter's transition to defensive end, showcasing the league's strategic depth and talent. Deutsche Welle in the arid and unforgiving landscape of Chad. Refugees recount the harrowing tales of their escape from the horrors of Darfur. The conflict in Sudan, now raging for over a year, shows no signs of abating as the Sudanese army grapples with the relentless advance of the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces (RSF). These forces are accused of perpetrating brutal, ethnically motivated attacks, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake. Men, women, and children have been indiscriminately killed, their lives snuffed out in a merciless campaign of violence. The refugees, haunted by the memories of what they have witnessed, speak of the sheer terror and desperation that drove them to flee their homes, seeking safety across the border in Chad. Their stories paint a vivid picture of a conflict that continues to wreak havoc on countless innocent lives, with no resolution in sight. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing, reports, and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 60O team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks and government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 60O Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 60O team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 60O Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website. 60O Brief, regardless of your location. You can conveniently receive 60O Brief by email.
Scrolling through the headlines, another crazy day. 6 degrees of stories, connecting in their way. From the weather to the sports, and everything we see. People making news on TV screens for free. 6-degree world, where the news comes in a whirl. Every story ties together like a ribbon in a twirl. Sit back and watch it all, big and small they call. From city lights to countryside, we're connected.